Hello, you beautiful people. I hope everyone is having a great day. Welcome to the video. I got a spicy video for you today. Oh, Patrick Rothfuss. Last night, I saw this article pop up from Newsweek about Patrick Rothfuss and his editor at Daw, I believe it is. Yeah, Daw. The editor said some pretty unprecedented things about her thoughts on where Rothfuss was standing as far as writing the third book in his fantasy trilogy. Now, I do not have a horse in this race. I don't know Patrick Rothfuss at all, except through his book. I was literally dragged to the display for the paperbacks for Name of the Wind when they came out, and told that this was one of the most amazing books I would ever read, ever, and that I should totally get it. So I did immediately. I got it. I was very excited about it. And I've tried reading it multiple times, and I gotta be honest with you, it bored the piss out of me. Now, everyone I've talked to about it says, oh, if you get past this first part, it gets so much better. And maybe that's the case, but there's just not enough gas in that tank to get me to the good part. I actually committed this morning, I'm going to try Name of the Wind again and see how that goes. Let's see. Am I still recording? Good. I'm still recording. I hit the keyboard when I moved the book. Okay. So this is, let me show you this. This is the Newsweek article. Let me read you a little bit about this. Kingkiller Chronicle editor believes author hasn't written anything for years. And this is out of Newsweek. Like I said, I put this up on my Facebook last night. Editor of the Kingkiller Chronicles says she thinks author Patrick Rothfuss hasn't written anything for 6 years. Betsy Walheim, Rothfuss's editor and president of publisher, I think that's president of publishing maybe, at Daw Books, posted multiple messages on Facebook indicating her dissatisfaction with the fantasy author's progress on the highly anticipated book 3 of the Kingkiller Chronicle trilogy, currently titled The Doors of Stone, saying in one reply to a Facebook friend, "I've had enough." Walheim was initially responding to an article on the publishing news and book recommendation site Book Riot, which pushed back against the widespread discontent from fans at the long wait for The Doors of Stone after the 2011 publication of the second book in the trilogy, The Wise Man's Fear. While that article didn't mention Walheim by name, the editor objected to several points raised in it, including a portion that speculated the Kingkiller Chronicle delays may be due to a lengthy editorial process. So in other words, someone was like going, oh, we haven't got it because the editor's got it and has not let go of it yet. I've never seen a word of book 3, Walheim wrote in the initial post, which was first highlighted by the science fiction and fantasy blog, The Wort Zone, on Sunday. By the way, she has pulled these posts down from Facebook. They're not there anymore. While Walheim partially agreed with the central argument of the article that readers shouldn't feel entitled to dictate how Rothfuss spends his time, she also asked, but what about the publishers who paid them? When authors don't produce, it basically F's their publishers, Walheim wrote, arguing that publishers rely on their strongest sellers to keep financially afloat. While her Saturday evening post to Facebook already directed strong words at one of her authors, a rare public airing of what would typically be a private dialogue between author and editor, she explained significantly on her criticism in response to comments beneath the initial post. There's the first book, Name of the Wind, and the second book, The Wise Man's Fear, which came out in 2011. It was in response to a commenter who speculated that Rothfuss is not working on the book at all, that Walheim raised the specific possibility that Rothfuss hadn't made any writing progress on The Doors of Stone for years. I think you're right, Walheim responded. I don't think he's written anything for 6 years. Newsweek has reached out to Walheim and Daw Books via email with questions about the conversation she had with Rothfuss and the publisher's preferred timeline for book 3, but did not hear back at the time of this publication. And I bet you're not going to hear back either, Newsweek. Newsweek also attempted to reach Rothfuss via a business partner and the author's publicist at Penguin Random House, but did not get a response back in time for publication. I checked his blog earlier today, and there's nothing on there about any of that. Again, I'll kind of give you my take on it from my experience in a second. I want to wrap this up real quick. However, past interviews and blog posts from Rothfuss reported on by Newsweek suggest the unlikelihood of the author having written nothing for 6 years after admitting in a 2017 blog post that the writing isn't going well. Rothfuss had offered multiple hints and updates regarding his progress in the years since. In December 2018, Rothfuss described his writing routine in an interview with Newsweek. "I typically write late at night because it's quiet and there are fewer distractions." Rothfuss said at the time, describing his 30-year-old keyboard and desk made from plywood laid over 2 filing cabinets. "I'm pretty no frills." And in an April 2019 podcast interview, he said, "Things are moving forward, if not fast again. I've never promised fast ever since I knew what I was good at professionally. I made promises very early on in interviews where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do these books in 1 year. But I was an idiot." I had been published for like 2 months. I had no idea what I was talking about. Rothfuss has also discussed how he intends to tell further stories in the world of Temerant after the completion of the Kingkiller Chronicles, calling the trilogy a 1,000,000-word prologue. While the first 2 books, The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear, follow the magically powerful bard Kofei, there's much to suggest already that Kofei's decisions will unleash even greater horrors on the world. But while Walheim may not have been literal in her description of Rothfuss's progress, she categorized Rothfuss's lack of deliverables as not promising. "That's how I feel, frankly," Walheim wrote in one response, agreeing with a comment that characterized Rothfuss's delays and multiple side projects as leaving readers feeling jilted. Walheim also reiterated criticism from her initial posts that seemed to partly pin the financial health of her company on Rothfuss, an author whose series has so far sold more than 10 million copies, according to the Hollywood Reporter, a figure that likely includes foreign publication and other sales that may not directly benefit Daw Books. In response to a commenter describing disregard for the commitment has made not just to readers but to publishers, editors, agents, and staff as ultimately a question of integrity, of honor, and of decency, Walheim expressed agreement. "Definitely," Walheim said, "the big names support the writers who may be just as interesting but not as commercial, people who may not sell well but deserve to be published." In a 2012 blog post, Rothfuss praised Walheim, calling for his readers to nominate her for a Hugo Award. "If not for her, The Wise Man's Fear simply wouldn't exist," Rothfuss wrote at the time. "Not only did Betsy take a risk on publishing a big fat novel by an unknown author back in 2007, but when I was struggling with The Wise Man's Fear, she gave me the time I needed to finish it." But despite the editor's surprising public rebuke of Rothfuss, Walheim also expressed her respect for Rothfuss's writing and her hopes that she may one day see the doors of stone. Everything said, "If I get a draft of book 3 by surprise sometime, I will be extraordinarily happy, joyous, actually, and will read it immediately with gusto." Walheim wrote, "I love Pat's writing. I will instantly feel forgiving and lucky to be his editor and publisher." So basically, that's kind of the core of it. I did find this thing that popped up on The Guardian, which is kind of another take on it, which is basically Alison Flood wrote this for The Guardian, and I'm not going to read the whole thing for you, but basically what she's saying here is that, and she's laying some of this on the fans, which I'm kind of back and forth on that myself personally, but basically what she's saying is that this is very much like a similar situation to what's going on with George R.R. Martin, where you have a lot of people pissed off, basically, because George hasn't got the last, or second to last book in Song of Ice and Fire finished. and that he seems to be doing like everything but writing. And that's, you know, basically just, it also mentioned something that came up years ago. Neil Gaiman back in 2009 put out a piece that basically said, you know, writers and artists aren't machines, and George Martin is not your bitch. And, you know, he's had a lot of writers come to his defense, Martin's. I'm sure you're going to have writers come to Pat Rothfuss's defense as well. It does bring up some interesting questions. Now, from where my experience, which is so much on a different, I'm like a Q-lister. George Martin, Pat Rothfuss are A, AAA, whatever. They're on another level of existence, another plane of existence than me. But I've been late on books before. And by late, I mean months. And to be quite honest, every time I've been late on books, it's made me kind of a little, it's made my ulcer happy. I don't like to be late on my books, but sometimes things happen. At one point, I had a short story I was writing for an anthology. I was under contract for it. And I had to write the damn thing in the middle of my daughter being run away from home. I had no idea where she was, who she was with. And I had to get this book, I had to get the story finished. So I wasn't sleeping anyway. So I'm not proud of the work I did, to be quite honest. I think I could have done a lot better job on it, but I did it. I have, you know, the editors I've worked with, all of them have been amazingly patient and understanding. My agent has been amazingly patient and understanding. Life happens and things come up that you can't control. That being said, you know, if you get an advance for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars from a publisher, you sign the contract, you do owe them something. You do owe them something. It's, you know, different than any other contract. You take a job with somebody and they pay you, they're expecting to get work out of you in return for that. So it is a dance. It's kind of like the dance of Shiva, because you've got creativity and all that creative energy that you cannot just like turn on and off like a faucet. And you have life. I think Pat Rothfuss has young children. It was a lot easier to write when my kids got older. When they were younger, it just wasn't as easy to do. I still found a way to do it, but again, different level, totally different level. So I can see both sides in it. I really can. Now, something else I wanted to show you guys that kind of maybe to defend Pat Rothfuss a little bit for this is, and actually my friend David, one of my brothers really, pointed this out to me. Let me find it now. Where's it at? Here it is. Pat Rothfuss founded this organization, Geeks Doing Good. I believe he's one of the founders. They work to unite the geek community into a massive force to fund education, opportunity, and sustainable self-sufficiency for families and communities worldwide. By partnering with established nonprofits with decades of proven success, they make the world a better place one family at a time. They use the collective power of readers, authors, gamers, and geeks of all creeds to champion smart charities. Our partners give donors the most bang for their buck by running solid programs designed not only to provide immediate help, but to improve lives for generations across communities. They're running a fundraiser. This Geeks Doing Good, like I said, my friend David had pointed this out to me and said, this is something you might want to mention. I'm going to put the links up for this in the description of this video. It's a solid charity. It definitely sounds like something worthwhile, worth doing. They have a Indiegogo up right now. Oh, it's closed. It wrapped up. When did it wrap up? I'm not sure. But they do this apparently every year. They raised over $171,416, which was 571% of their goal. That's amazing. So they've put $10 million into the world to help people. That's Pat Rothfuss. He was doing that. Now, you can make an argument either way. You can say George Martin has the right to go buy a railroad. George Martin has the right to work on other projects for other people to get them on television. You can say George Martin can run role-playing games and run huge parties at Worldcon, and everyone can go fuck themselves. It's really true. I gotta be honest. If I had, I'm lucky. I don't have fans that jump my ass about stuff like that. But I know that there are people. Again, I've got a great bunch of people who read my books and support me, and I don't feel pressure from them to like, when's the next. They'll ask me when the next book is coming, but I don't feel that in any way is a pressure on me. That's more like, hey, I love what you're writing. When do I get more of it? And I try to appreciate that, and to let them know kind of where things are at. Like, I think I'm going to get to work on this next year, or I don't really know yet. But I feel like if you're spending part of your life supporting my work, my books, you're reading them, you're taking time out of your life, you're never going to get back. The very least I can do is be respectful of you asking me, when's the next book coming? Not taking it as a threat, not taking it as some kind of a demand. I don't feel that from my fans. But again, I'm on a different plane of existence than these guys. And not to mention, I'm sure there's a lot of pressure from the publishers right now, because the publishers are hurting a lot. Big press, small press, doesn't matter. They're all hurting right now because of these trying times. And that means there's, crap runs downhill. So they've got pressure on them. They're going to start putting pressure on their big sellers. Hey, when's that next book coming? Hey, when can we expect to put something out? When can we do a press, like a PR release or something, and say, oh, in next year we're going to have a new book by George Martin. And the level of stress on them must be immense. Again, like I said, I've been behind in books. Every editor, I've never had an editor ever, privately or publicly, kind of dress me down about that. I've been very fortunate with the editors I work for, and I actually recognize the name of his editor. I know her from somewhere, I just don't know where. But the bottom line is, I'm thinking there's more going on here than these articles are saying. But the only thing I can think of is one of two things. Either she was just pissed off, or had a little too much drink, or bad day, or whatever, and she said this stuff, and then she's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that, and took it down. Or she really hasn't gotten anything from him in 6 years. And I got to be honest, that does seem excessive. So maybe somewhere between those two is the truth. I'd be interested to see what Pat Rothfuss responds to, if he responds to this. If he does, I'll certainly do a video about it and let you guys know. But this is a whole nother thing with being a writer. And I've got to be honest, I'm very fortunate. Like I said, the editors I've worked with have all been just amazing and exceptional. And privately or publicly, we've never had any beef. And I'm very thankful for that. I'd like to hear your comments in the comments below from the video. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think that the public and the businesses that kind of patronize, basically the businesses that pay these writers, and the public, the fans, what rights and privileges do they have, and what rights and privileges do you think the artists have? And like I said, I don't have a real strong. I can see both sides of this. I totally can. So I'd like to hear what you think about it. And let's see. Basically, we are still on holding pattern for grandbaby. Maybe soon. Who knows? Who can say? I like to visualize her like kind of down in the birth canal, and she's putting on the little leather helmet and the goggles, and she's putting a little scarf on, and she's like, whew, whew, okay, I'm ready to go. Like a luge event, just whew, out of there. But we don't know. We don't know. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, if you want some more of this quality commentary. If the charity that Rothfuss and others have set up appeals to you, I'll have the link to that in the description of the video. it sounds like a great charity, and something you should really check it out. And not to just see, this is one of the things when you're a writer and you're a reader, which you really, pretty much everybody at some point level is a reader. But when you're a writer and a reader, sometimes people are like, it's sour grapes. He doesn't like. No, I really want to like this book. And so many people tell me how freaking good it is. But the thing is it's just, and actually the comments I got from my Facebook post about all this, there were several folks on there who also said they had some trouble with it. There were some folks on there who said they absolutely loved it, couldn't wait for the next one. I'm going to give it another shot, but if you think Pat Rothfuss's books are something that you might be interested in, go find them, go get them. Tell me what you think of them. Tell me if you think I'm full of crap, or maybe I'm just ADD. I don't know. You tell me. Subscribe to the channel if you get a chance. Click on the little bell so you get notifications for when I put out a new video. I will keep you guys posted on anything new developing with this little brouhaha. Ha. And I will also keep you posted on baby. I hope everybody's doing great. I will see you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye.